get used to this. I got one of these earpieces in. So far, they're just playing weird shit in there. But welcome to the Battle of the Giants press conference. We are so excited. This is going to be the biggest heavyweight fight in MMA this year. We had some yeah, give it up, don't be shy. Make some noise. It's the Predator versus the Problema, and it is going down on ESPN Plus pay-per-view and DAZN worldwide Saturday, October 19th in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. And about to join me on stage is one of the best young talents in all of MMA. This girl's a demon. They say she's the next Ronda Rousey. Check it out. Let's go! Give it up. Please welcome the undefeated PFL Women's Flyweight 13-0 Dangerous Dakota Ditcheva. Hello. So she won the PFL European title last year, and in just a few weeks ago qualified to fight for the PFL global title and $1 million in November. If and when you win the $1 million, do you have something that you want to buy?
Not really, no. I just want the belt, if I'm honest.
Let's go. I respect that. Now, some people compare you to Ronda Rousey, Holly Holm. Who would win? Prime Ronda or Prime Dakota?
Prime Dakota.
Let's go. You heard it. I would love to see that one. Man, so you trained in the same gym as Henan Ferreira. What have you seen from the 6'8" monster that impresses you?
I think just as soon as you walk in the door, you're just like, wow, he just looks like a complete unit for sure. But I mean, I've watched him on the pads. I haven't really seen anybody as big as him move as quick as he does, and striking as well. Yeah, honestly, he's very impressive. I think you just need to. Sometimes you kind of freeze watching him on the pads because he's like just one. That's all I can say.
And what's your prediction for this fight?
I think it's going to be a good fight. I mean, two big guys. Obviously, Francis Ngannou is no walkover for sure. But I mean, I just haven't seen a unit like Brendan before, especially the way he trains and stuff. And I feel like there's going to be a KO.
So much exciting PFL action going on, including tomorrow night here in Washington, D.C. It's featherweights and welterweights fighting for their spots in the PFL World Championship. 4 championship spots on the line. Main card on ESPN and ESPN Plus at 10 p.m. Eastern. Now, you're from Manchester, England. Brendan Loughnane is in tomorrow's main event fighting for a championship spot. He's also from Manchester. Manchester's taking over. He won the PFL 2022 title. What do you expect from Brendan tomorrow?
Brendan's in his prime right now. I think if you've watched him throughout the tournament, he's just like getting better and better every time. He's hungry as well. I mean, this is not his first tournament, and he says he's done every year, but he's turning up here. He's like a complete athlete, so he's just he's bringing in the second belt for himself for sure.
All right, well, thank you, Dakota. We will see you in November. It's time. Let's get to the reason we are all here. The Battle of the Giants.
Saturday, October 19th on ESPN Plus pay-per-view and DAZN worldwide. It's a battle of the Giants. The undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, Francis Ngannou, makes his historic MMA return.
I'm the baddest one on the planet.
Against the 6'8" Brazilian titan, Reina the Problema Ferreira. The two most devastating strikers on the planet in the biggest heavyweight fight of the year. Plus, the GOAT of women's MMA, Chris Cyborg, takes on lethal two-time PFL champ, Larissa Pacheco. 4 champions competing for the first ever PFL Super Fight belts. Live Saturday, October 19th from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia on ESPN Plus pay-per-view and DAZN worldwide. Brace for impact.
Welcome, PFL fight fans, to the press conference Battle of the Giants. Sean O'Connell, Dan Hardy will get the fighters out here in just a moment. Francis Ngannou, Reina Ferreira, Larissa Pacheco, Chris Cyborg, and an incredible card with a lot of fights still to be announced. Dan, we're headed back to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. The Kingdom is taking over combat sports.
It really is, Sean. I mean, we've been out there, we've seen the growth of boxing, mixed martial arts. It really is incredible, the engagement that we're getting out there, as well as, I mean, the whole place is just blowing up, isn't it? Everywhere you go, there's buildings being built. It's just incredible. There's a real vibrant thing going on in Riyadh right now, and of course, we happen to be a partner with the PFL.
We did champs versus champs over there, Bellator champs, PFL champs, the whole thing under one roof. And we've been waiting for a fight like this one, as MMA fans, for decades. You get a champion in the PFL who also won the champs versus champs bout against Ryan Bader, a monster, Reina Ferreira. And he gets to take on the man who, when he stepped away from this sport, was the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, was the most feared heavyweight on the planet. And he stepped away and he did some boxing, wreaked havoc in that world. He's only more dangerous on the feet now, Dan, as far as I'm concerned. Francis walked away a heavyweight champion. He's still a heavyweight champion in my mind.
You know, he really is. I was just chatting with him backstage and I said to him, is it nice to be back in the small gloves, back working mixed martial arts? Had you forgotten anything? And he said, you know, it's back on the mats, it's like riding a bike. I remember everything. There's a good energy about him. It really feels like he's excited to get the small gloves on him. We know what damage you can do with those small gloves. The question really is, can he get to the big man? Reina Ferreira is a terrifying individual. The range that he fights at, the speed at which he moves, you put him in an American top team, you build out his ground game, shore up his grappling skills. It's just going to be a fascinating fight.
Never before in mixed martial arts have we seen two athletes like this. Two monsters with well-rounded skill sets. These are the biggest, baddest, scariest heavyweights on the planet, but no one's here to listen to us talk. We got to get these fighters out here.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, before we bring these giants out, I just want to take a little closer look at the PFL 2023 champion, Reina the Problema Ferreira. Ladies and gentlemen, please make some noise. Welcome to the stage, the great Problema, Reina Ferreira.
Ready to make his long-awaited Professional Fighters League debut. This man is not just the baddest heavyweight on the planet. He is evidence of the American dream. Nobody has a better story in the sport of mixed martial arts than Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou, an absolute force of nature, unmatched power and explosiveness, and the indomitable will to conquer. He still stands as the most feared heavyweight on planet Earth, stepping into the sport cage for the first time. Ladies and gentlemen, please, officially, let's welcome Francis Ngannou. And we're going to turn it over to the press, but I'm not wasting an opportunity to talk to these monsters, these great heavyweights, about the most highly anticipated matchup in PFL history. So if you don't mind, I'll go first. Francis, welcome back to the sport of mixed martial arts. We have missed you, and now we're weeks away from seeing your return. For you, what has it been like to step back into the training room, to get the small gloves on again, and to refresh your love for mixed martial arts?
Hello guys. Gonna be honest, it's nice to be here, and I'm very excited about it. I'm also a little nervous. You know, I was just young this stage. I'm like, okay, it's been a long time that I haven't been here, but I remember like when I get back to the gym, like 2 months ago, I was so nervous. Like I had forgotten how to fight, but as soon as I get in the mat, I realized it was always so it's quite exciting, and I'm looking forward to this.
That actually makes me feel a little bit better that even Francis Ngannou gets a little bit nervous for things like this. Best dressed heavyweight as well as the hardest hitting heavyweight.
Henan for Hayden, does it feel a little bit more real now? Francis is sitting on the other side of the stage to you.
Olá pessoal, é muito bom estar aqui com vocês hoje, esse grande evento aí, parabenizar o PFL por essa grande organização, uma honra muito grande fazer parte de tudo isso e como adversário aí, o cara da confiança.
Hey guys, great honor to be here. Just ecstatic with this opportunity, with this fight, and a great honor to be facing a guy of the caliber of Francis Ngannou.
If you're fighting a guy that tall, but you've got the kind of power and speed that Henan's got, how do you solve the problem like Ngannou? I want you to ask that question because I'm too scared to.
You just got to get close. You just got to get close and punch him. Francis, you've been complimentary of Renan Ferreira when you made comments about him. Now, here he is, he's sitting across from you. The nickname, I think, fits for Renan. What kind of a problem does this man present for Francis Ngannou?
You know, everyone is a problem at some extent, and it's definitely a problem for some people, and as long as I'm concerned, he's not the problem. Problem against the predator, so I think the nickname is
Not a problem, Francis says.
Apparently, but I mean, look at the size of this individual. I mean, height and reach advantage, the speed and everything. Henan, question for you though. Of course, we know that Francis has got a very well-rounded mixed martial arts game. We know he's got punching power, but we've seen him wrestle over 25 minutes. What version of Francis do you expect?
O Francis é cara que passando por um ano difícil aí, mais difícil ainda é o que ele tem pela frente. Ele sabe que ele tem um grande problema e vai ser muito difícil de resolver.
Well, Francis has been going through a tough year in his life, but the toughest challenge in his life and in his year is going to be me. I'm going to be the biggest problem in his year right now. It's a tough puzzle for him to figure out.
Dan, before we turn things over to the press, this is our main event in our Battle of the Giants coming up October 19th in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. But the co-main event has me incredibly excited as well. We do have one half of that co-main event, a two-division champion in the PFL. Please, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Larissa Pacheco to the stage. Larissa, had to take this opportunity to speak with you as well. Co-main event on the biggest card in PFL history. You're already a two-time PFL champion, but now you have the opportunity to fight an absolute legend in women's mixed martial arts in Chris Cyborg. Your thoughts on this matchup?
Bom, eu acho que essa luta é a luta mais esperada do MMA feminino, né? Eu tô aqui para marcar presença e para mostrar que a gente vai fazer um grande combate, independente de qualquer coisa. Ela é uma lenda, eu sei disso, e é a minha oportunidade de me tornar uma e começar um legado também.
This is the most anticipated fight in women's MMA history. I'm thrilled with the opportunity. I'm here to showcase my work. Chris Cyborg is a legend, and I'm here to beat the legend and become the legend.
two of the hardest hitting women ever in the sport. So who hits harder, Larissa or Sutton?
Larissa, claro.
I don't even need translation on that one. Our co-main event, Larissa Pacheco, two-time, two-division PFL Women's Champion, taking on Chris Cyborg, who will be making her Professional Fighters League debut as well. Larissa, thank you.
Thanks so much.
To the press now. We have a microphone here in the front. Single file line, ask your questions. Reina Ferreira, Francis Ngannou. Press, the floor is yours.
Thank you, sir. Start with Francis, please. Francis, welcome back to MMA, first of all. 2.5 years away. Crazy what you've done in boxing. I know you're still very much demand in the boxing world. So why was now the right time for you to get back involved in mixed martial arts?
It was always the plan. You know, in May, I think it was in May, yes, May last year that we make this official that we are supposed to fight this year. And then we get a little delay. It was supposed to be in June. So that was the plan. And even like before my last fight against Joshua, this fight was already talking about, you know, like when the 4th champ in Saudi Arabia, the deal was that I'm going to fight the winner, and it was already made before the fight and before I fight.
And Hennon has done a lot of great things while you've been in boxing, right? Amazing run through the season, beats Ryan Bader in the champ versus champ fight. So how much of him were you watching, and what have you thought of the fights that you've seen and the knockouts that he's put together while you've been away?
Well, I'm gonna say this, like, I wasn't impressed by his knockout, not because he wasn't good, because I knew he was capable of doing that. I've been watching Reina Ferreira because before a lot of people even know who he was, because I was so impressed by his skills, by his ability, and I saw him enter the PFL season, and now I'm like, I put my money on this guy. This is the winner. Like, he's gonna smash everybody, you know. So I've been watching it, and every time, of course, he had a great performance, and I wasn't impressed before because I knew that was what he was going to do. I wasn't expecting any less out of him.
Nice. And lastly, for you, Francis, when you set goals in life, it seems that you always obtain them. So now that you're back in MMA, what is your goal in this run with PFL now that you're focused on MMA once again?
Can you start all over again?
Sure. In life, when you set goals, it seems you always meet them. So now that you're back in MMA, back in the PFL, what is your goal now that you're back in MMA again?
You know, my goal right now is not just about like being back in MMA. It's about being back in activity, in combat sport in general. It's being back in what I love, and then I think I always have a purpose. I always look forward for my purpose, the reason why I'm doing. And lately, things been a little tough. You know, I haven't questioned if I have to continue or if I should just hang off the gloves and stuff. But then I realized that should be a purpose for me. You know, like I didn't have a chance to fight for my son then, so I think this is it.
Thank you, Francis. Appreciate that. And for Hennon, if we could, Hennon, obviously you've been thinking about this fight for a long time. It is official now. You've had a chance to size up Francis. We're looking forward to this face-off here momentarily. But what are your initial impressions now that you see him face-to-face and what he offers you as an opponent?
O Francis é um grande atleta, sempre acompanhei ele, os nocautes e tudo. Pessoalmente, eu já sabia que ele era tudo isso, então eu tenho me preparado a vida toda para lutar com caras grandes, com caras como ele. Então, assim, não me impressionou, eu já sabia como que ele era.
Look, Francis is a great athlete, and I've been following his career for a very long time, and I've been impressed by his career and his feats for a very long time. So meeting him in person, it just came to solidify everything that I thought and I knew. He's a big man, he's got big power, and I'm excited for this fight.
And lastly, how do you evaluate him as a fighter at this point, right? It's been 2.5 years since we've seen him as a mixed martial artist. He's been boxing. So do you expect the same version? Do you expect something different because he has time away? What do you expect from an opponent?
Com certeza é bastante tempo, né? Fora dos gays, é totalmente diferente. O França tem feito lutas de boxe, que é outra pegada. Então eu acho que ele vai sentir um pouco de diferença, mas ele é um guerreiro, é um lutador. Mas ele tem um grande problema pela frente. Ele sabe que vai ter uma dificuldade imensa, tanto na trocação quanto na parte de grab, porque ele sabe que eu posso nocautear ou finalizar ele a qualquer momento.
Yeah, 2.5 years is a long time. I think like I said, he's a great athlete, but the cage is the cage. It's going to bring other challenges, and as I said, and I say it before, I say it again, he has a big problem ahead of him. He knows I have knockout power. I can wrestle him. I can bring him down to the ground. I can knock him out. I can submit him. So again, he has a big problem ahead of him.
All right, how you doing, Francis? I have one question for you, one question for you, Henry. My name is Brian Mazikin from Forbes, and it's a pleasure to get the opportunity to talk to you. My question is, over the past week, there's been a lot of conversation on the back end of Israel Adesanya's fight, and he has shown you so much respect, and he has continued to make it a point to make your accomplishments and your experience not be forgotten. And so recently there was something that kind of bubbled up about that, and it came to a head, and we kind of found out what happened. My question is, how does it make you feel to get that level of support and have that loyalty shown to you by someone close to you like Israel Adesanya?
It's always great. I mean, since we didn't know each other before we get here, we get in our combat sport career, and then we had to know each other, and then since then, my first fight was on the same card with Usman, and then we hook up. Then Adesanya came after, and then we just have a good chemistry and support each other, So it's always been a good chemistry between us, a good support, genuinely, and everybody, which is everybody the best, which is everybody to dominate in his division or to overcome whatever he's going through. So it's been, and whether it's on or off stage, we've been supporting each other, and it's also very comforting, like there are moments that you're up and there are moments that you're down, and then you truly need support from people that care about you. So, and those are very important. Like my first boxing match in Riyadh, we were there the whole week with Adesanya and Usman, and let me tell you what, even though I wasn't knowing what I was getting into, at least I was happy that whatever happened, it happened when I'm surrounded by people that care for me.
Yeah, that the whole image of you and Usman and Adesanya with the three kings and the Wakanda forever, that definitely hits hard, and so I definitely appreciate your answer. This question is for Henry. I have to ask you, you are the reigning PFL heavyweight champion after having gone through an entire season. But as we look here, it's very clear whose name is first. Do you feel in any way that like you're maybe being undersold because you are actually the champion, and are you taking that as any level of motivation as you go into this fight?
Chateado nem um pouco, somos dois grandes campeões, estou pronto para escrever mais uma vez aí, mais um capítulo da minha história, venho trabalhando duro para isso, independente do meu nome estar aí sendo falado em primeiro ou segundo, isso não importa, o que vai importar é lá dentro, quando estiver dentro do octagon, que eu sei que eu vou estar muito preparado para dar esse show.
No, it doesn't really bother me. I know my accolades, I know what the sport, with the sport, and here at the PFL. Once we get locked inside the cage, it doesn't really matter whose name's first, second, or what's said before. A fight's a fight.
Question for Francis. There's been a lot of talk throughout the community lately about who the greatest heavyweight in the world is right now, and a lot of people bring up John Jones and Tom Aspinall and kind of forget that you have not lost in MMA lately since you last fought. Do you believe that you're the greatest heavyweight in the world still?
Can you please repeat your question?
Yeah, there's been a lot of debate throughout the community lately on who the greatest heavyweight in the world is right now between maybe Tom Aspinall and John Jones, and your name is getting left out. I'm just curious if you believe you're still the best heavyweight in the world.
I don't know, I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Wondering if you're still believing that you're the best heavyweight in the world in MMA. There's a lot of debate between who the best heavyweight is right now, bringing up John Jones and Tom Aspinall and yourself.
So you're asking like who is the best heavyweight?
Yes.
Well, I think for everybody he's the best heavyweight, and even those who you haven't mentioned they feel like the best heavyweight, and everybody has his fight. And honestly, like I never chase stuff like that because it's not the most important. I think the most important is to go there and do your best. Give everything that you have in one of each and every fight that is in front of you, and then whether it's in life, in sport, or whatever you're doing. So that's for me like the goal, is to do my best. As long as I give my best, I make sure that I give my best. I make sure that I left no stone undone. I'm okay with whatever it is, and then the idea of chasing who is the best heavyweight, who is the best heavyweight, like all over social media, is not something that I'm very excited about.
And for Henan, do you believe that this fight with Francis will decide the best heavyweight on the planet?
Com certeza essa é a luta mais esperada do ano, né? Dois grandes pesos pesados aí, com estilos bem parecidos, cara que anda para frente, que busca o nocaute. Então, com certeza esse vai ser um grande combate aí, e com certeza isso vai definir quem vai ser o melhor do mundo aí, peso pesado.
For sure, yeah. And this fight seals the deal as far as who's the best heavyweight in the world. These are two guys at their prime, heavy hitters, very similar style, insane knockout power, and that only know one motion, and that is forward. So.
Hi, it's Jack Fick from The Sun in the UK. Question for Henan firstly. After you won the PFL season, you said that you were going to sit and wait for Francis, but of course he was boxing for a while and it wasn't quite clear when he would come back to MMA. Was it a nervy period waiting for Francis, having decided to not enter the season again? Can you hear? Okay. Was it a nervy period for Henan while he was waiting for Francis in boxing?
Não, em nenhum momento. Eu aproveitei esse tempo para estar me preparando, para estar aprendendo mais, para estar evoluindo. Foi um momento de descanso também para mim, para estar com a minha família. Então usei bem esse tempo. Eu sabia que eu sou o campeão, né? Eu estou à frente. Não tinha outro cara para ser o adversário do Francis. Então, em nenhum momento eu fiquei ansioso ou preocupado com isso. Aproveitei esse tempo para ficar mais tranquilo, curtir um pouco a minha família e aprimorar cada vez mais aí o meu jogo.
No, not at all. I was calm, cool, and collected throughout this whole process. I took this time to enjoy some family time, and as well as just relax, but also sharpen my tool set and become a better fighter. I knew coming into this whole process there was no one else to fight Francis. I'm the champion out here. I'm the super fights champion as well. So naturally, I'm the man for it. I just sat back and used the time to do other things.
and one for Francis. Can you hear? You've been in the 10-ounce boxing gloves for the past year or so. Have you missed wearing those 4-ounce gloves? And do you still harbour some interest in boxing, maybe a rematch with Tyson Fury, considering how close the first fight was?
Yes, of course. I do miss small gloves. You know, I do miss the fact that you can change level. You know, like strike, grapple, and do all the stuff. Feels different. You know, it's what I used to. It's what I have like. My body mechanics is used to now, and then getting back into it is just a great thing. But for your second question, yes, I'm still looking forward to have some boxing match. I haven't done yet. I think I even have a few out of me.
Question for Francis, I guess following up on that, are you back in MMA kind of for a couple of fights now, or do you think you'll do this one and then maybe see what happens between Fury and Usyk after that? Like, obviously you have options, but do you think that you're going to have a couple of MMA fights, or maybe look back into the boxing ring?
So right now I'm focusing on this one. I don't know what will be next after this fight, but I get this one solved first, and then I see what's possible, what's the possibility, then I'll make a decision.
Henan, do you feel like Francis might be distracted at all by how many different options he has? And like we just mentioned there, Tyson Fury is a name you could fight, any of these other heavyweights. Do you think that his focus is not lasered in on you?
São muitas adversidades, né, muitas coisas que acontecem, mas sei que o Francis é um grande campeão aí, e com certeza ele sabe o compromisso e a seriedade que é essa próxima luta. Então eu acho que se ele não tiver com a cabeça nessa luta, ele está com um grande problema.
No, I think Francis is a committed guy. I think he understands that he has a tall task in front of him, and that he's fully focused on this. At least I hope so.
Hi, this is Alan Dawson of the Combat X TV show at Swerve Combat. This is a question for Francis Ngannou. We saw you train with Mike Tyson ahead of your 2-fight stint in boxing. Will you take any of those striking tips you learned from Mike Tyson into mixed martial arts in the PFL?
I do train with Mike Tyson, and that was for one fight, my first fight against Tyson Fury. But what I'm gonna say is that boxing is a complete different sport, man. Like it might still be a combat sport, but it's very different from MMA. Whether it's the stand, the approach, and everything. So it's quite different, and it's very hard to take something. Yes, maybe you can, if you get some speed, if you get some speed, have some clarity on your target, you know, that will help you in MMA, but those are completely two different sports.
And we heard UFC boss Dana White say earlier this summer that Francis didn't want to fight John Jones. Can you provide clarity that you didn't want to fight John back then, and regardless of how that fight could happen, is it a fight you would still take in the future?
Repeat your question, please.
Dana White said earlier this summer that Francis didn't want to fight John Jones. Can you clarify back then that you would have fought John Jones, and if that fight could happen, is it one you would still welcome?
Well, I think that's the new narrative. Since he needs to say something either way, you know. But as far as I'm concerned, John didn't want to fight with me, according to them. And so many times that we sit down on the meeting, they're like, oh, it can't happen. John doesn't want to fight anymore. You know, like he lives in Albuquerque. He doesn't. He lives his small life. He has a lot of money in his bank account. You know, so I think the guy who controls the narrative can say whatever he wants. But that's just the narrative. I was the one requesting the John fight, but I didn't want that like a, I don't know how to say it, like a trap to get into some deal. And get to something that I didn't want. You know, I want things to be straight and square. You know, so yes, I wanted to fight John Jones, but in the good condition, not just to fight to be there.
Thanks, Francis.
Thank you.
Hey, Francis. The night that you fight Renan Ferreira, it'll end a 1,001-day layoff from mixed martial arts. With the boxing training camps in mind, was there a challenge in rewiring yourself to get back into mixed martial arts?
I think the challenge is not into rewiring myself into mixed martial art. You know, the challenge is about like going out there, you know, and deliver and be me again, you know, and have that aggressivity, have that determination, you know. So that's where my challenge is located right now. You know, I don't have any challenge going back into mixed martial art. As I said before, I just felt like I was riding the bike and I used to do it. So that's my challenge.
I love it. And for Renan, what was your assessment of Francis's boxing bouts with Fury and AJ?
Eu acho que na primeira luta surpreendeu a todos ali, né? Mostrou que como um peso pesado que tem mãos duras, mãos fortes. Já na segunda luta eu achei que ele não foi tão bem, né? Teve algumas coisas ali que ele errou bastante e se aventurou. Mas é isso, tá acostumado com o MMA e é totalmente diferente, é outra arte, mas fiquei satisfeito também pela abertura aí que ele tem feito, né? Mostrar que a gente no MMA também pode ir para outros eventos, para outras modalidades e sair bem.
I think, needless to say, he did well in the first fight. You know, had great moments. Second fight, I think he got a little too relaxed, complacent, and you know, got into too much of a little adventure for that one. But I mean, props to him. I'm happy for him, and I'm happy for MMA. It shows that we can go out there and we can hang out with the boxers as well, and we can make our sport proud.
Question for Renan. You've dedicated your life to this sport, blood, sweat, and tears, the ups and downs throughout your career. You now find yourself sitting on stage before the Predator, Francis Ngannou, as you guys get set to compete in the biggest PFL fight of all time. What can you tell me about your journey to get here and how it feels to be in this position right now?
Eu que venho do interior do Brasil, né? Muitas lutas, muitas batalhas para chegar até aqui e estar vivendo esse momento, para mim é uma satisfação muito grande poder mudar a minha realidade, a realidade da minha família. Isso é uma coisa que não tem preço. Então, espero que vocês tenham a oportunidade de viver essa felicidade, de viver essa realização na vida, porque eu estou muito feliz com o momento que eu estou vivendo.
I come from a very small town in rural Brazil, and to be able to live this moment and have this happen to me, it's a dream come true. I look forward to making my people proud and putting on a performance of a lifetime. I truly hope that everyone out here gets to chase their dreams and feel something this special at some point in their lives.
Thank you, Renan. Francis Ngannou, how you doing, man? Looking good. You've accomplished a lot in the last few years since your UFC departure, from monumental boxing matches to the recent launch of PFL Africa, but you've been through a lot outside of your career as well. How has your relationship with fighting changed and evolved since we last saw you compete within the realm of mixed martial arts?
How is my relationship with fighting changed since what?
Since we last saw you compete within the realm of mixed martial arts, in the last 2 years, how has your relationship with your career and with fighting changed?
I think my relationship with fighting hasn't really changed yet. You know, like as I always say, like fighting for me is not it's not a job. You know, it's a part of me. It's who I am. You know, I don't fight as I'm working. I fight just as I'm living. And I mean, obviously, time to time you have some ups and downs in life. You know, sometimes you have some doubts, some question about stuff, about life in general. But I would not say my relationship with fighting have changed. I have the same relationship, and I'm going to prove it on October 19th.
Thank you. Good luck, guys.
You're welcome.
Question for Henning Pereira. Henning, you're up against one of the most intimidating fighters in mixed martial arts. How does one get prepared to take on the challenge of Francis Ngannou?
Toda luta é difícil nesse nível, né? Lutar com um cara como o Francis não vai ser diferente. Isso aumenta a minha dedicação, né? Vamos estar ali trabalhando muito duro, né? Buscando aí a cada momento evoluir mais, estar mais bem preparado aí para essa luta. Então é isso. Esse próximo evento com certeza vai ser uma nova versão de mim. Estou o tempo todo buscando mudar, buscando aumentar as minhas ferramentas aí para esse combate.
I mean, it's a game of inches when you come to this level of the sport. This is going to be the best version of me. I've taken the time to improve, to sharpen the tools in my toolbox, and to be the best possible in order to face the pleasure.
Question for Francis Ngannou. Francis, can you hear me? Francis, at the beginning of the press conference, you mentioned your son. You've made a lot of money in boxing. You've won one of the biggest titles in mixed martial arts. Why come back to the public to continue fighting? What keeps you going? What is the motivation after everything you've been through?
You know, as I said earlier, fighting for me is a lifestyle. You know, again, I get to the point that I question myself if I should continue or if I should just retire. But I didn't want, you know, I didn't want my son to be the reason for me to do that. So I decided that I will keep doing it, fighting for him. You know, so it just become a new purpose for me. My son was he was 15 months old, but he was very active, and have a lot of plans in the future for him. And life decide otherwise, so I decide not to make a positive out of his 15 months of living, you know, to find a strength out of him, to find him as a motivation to keep going instead of like to quit, you know. So I think it's the best way of honoring him.
Thank you. Final question for you, Francis. Gareth Davis from The Telegraph and TalkSport in the UK. It's great to see both you great heavyweights here today. My final question for you, Francis, is if you have a message for everyone, your life is extraordinary, and you have a message for Renan Ferreira, one for life and one for the fight for October the 19th.
Do I have a message for everyone who what?
Just for everyone in terms of the inspiration that you've delivered in your life, what people can achieve.
Do I have a message? You know, it's a tough question. But I would say my message is that I'll keep, you know, life is tough, take you down a couple times, but you have to, multiple times, but you have to stand back up regardless. And then, even though sometimes they get to the point that they think you are tough, which is something that I really don't like, because being tough means you've been dealing with a lot of shit. Yeah, that's what people say, like, oh, you're tough. I'm like, yeah, it hurts to be tough. You know, it's not easy, and I'd rather not be tough. But whatever happened, life goes on. You know, things happen to everyone, and I think in an event like this, you realize that some people have been going through challenges that you didn't know, and then you give more respect and admiration to those people for what they've been going through, because it's not because somebody don't enter in the cage and fight another person, that means the person is not a warrior or is not tough. You know, the battles are different. There are different battles out there, and someone are way above the one in the cage, and there are a lot of people out there going through it. So I encourage them to keep going, to not give up.
All right, thank you to everyone in the press. Dan, one final order of business. We do have to clear this stage and face these two giants off. I don't think we've seen that yet.
I don't think we have, and this is where I'm really interested. As an analyst, I get to size these two guys up and see how the height and reach is going to favor Henan Fajeda. But of course, you know, power is the equalizer in this one, right? This is the battle of the giants, after all. We are bracing for impact, so I need to see these guys face up. We're going to clear this stage and get these guys back out in a second. But Sean, like, just from your perspective, as an MMA fan, right, you've been following this sport for a long time. Can you think of a moment when you've seen two behemoths like this that are going to face off for all the gold?
I've been telling people this, and yes, the fact that we have last year's PFL champ and the champs versus champs belt holder, and we have the man who came from the UFC as the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, and then went over into boxing and competed so well against the top boxers in the world. Like, we have two of the best combat sports athletes on the planet, period, coming up for this fight on October 19th. But it's not just that for me. I'm a sports fan also, and we don't see heavyweights that are built like these two very often. The heavyweight division in mixed martial arts is full of really tough, really impressive guys, but oftentimes not the elite athletes, not the best athletes in the world, because if you're big enough at 6'8" to be playing in the NBA, you might be playing in the NBA, you might be playing in the NFL. If either of these guys were born in the United States of America, they would be NFL football players. If they'd been born in the UK, they'd be representing the rugby team or something like that. So we have a heavyweight matchup featuring two elite, like top 1% of the 1% athletes on the planet. Not just fighters, but athletes, and that's another reason it gets me so excited.
You know, and the other thing as well is that there are no common opponents here, right? So it really is a complete unknown. Like, we know what Ngannou is capable of: the power, the speed, his ability to cover distance and take people's heads off is a terrifying thing to watch. But then on the other side, you see Henan Fajeda doing the same thing with those long arms and legs, the speed at which he's able to get across the smart cage. I just cannot wait for this fight. And the co-main event, obviously, is going to be an absolute barn burner.
Difference-making power with one punch for the main event fighters, for the co-main event fighters, the two hardest hitting men on the planet and the two hardest hitting women on the planet on one card in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. I'm not going to put you between these two behemoths. All right, the battle of the giants. We're gonna have the problem child. Jake Paul is actually the perfect person to put between these two monsters.
Let's go.
Jake, go ahead and call out here.
Okay, first to the stage, the Problema, Henan Fajeda.
Yeah, Henan.
And making his mixed martial arts return, the Predator, Francis Ngannou.
Let's go. Can't separate that. Yeah! Woo! too back so
Battle of
long.
the Giants, ladies
So
and gentlemen.
long.
October
Let's
19th,
go.
the Mac&Mal in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia.
How much time? Countdown.
Thank you, Hannah. Thank you, Francis. Thanks, great to have you guys here. That's all done. Woo. Jake, before we let you out of here, I want to talk about that. Look, you're a big guy.
Talk about being between a rock and a hard
Between those
place.
two, you don't look quite so big. Tell me what that moment was like.
I'm not gonna lie, but I wouldn't have done anything if they would have started fighting. I was trying to hold them back and it wasn't doing anything.
Can't do nothing.
They're very, very, very strong.
All right, we heard Francis talking about it, right? This is a guy who's been in the boxing world. You've been in that boxing world. Now he comes back to the sport where he made his name, where he made his fame, he made his fortunes. What do you think that transition back to a cage is going to be like for Francis?
Yeah, look, he has a lot to prove, right? The pressure's on him. You know, he came from the UFC, now in this massive, massive fight against an amazing competitor who has amazing power, amazing speed, is obviously 6'8", 85-inch reach. So I'm excited for this, and Francis has that chip on his shoulder because the whole UFC and all the MMA fans are going to be watching to see what he can do, and is he the best heavyweight still in the world, in this division?
I've got to ask you what you think Ngannou's foray into boxing would add to his MMA career. I mean, obviously, you know, he's taken some time out, he's focused specifically on that sport, but he was training for Tyson Fury, who's a massive, tall individual, so he must have worked a few things that might benefit him here.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think training for those big guys, Tyson Fury has the same reach as Ferreira, and so that boxing skill, that helps in a fight like this. And so it'll be interesting to see those extra rounds he put in the gym, and if that helps him against a big guy.
The conversation of best heavyweight on the planet has to include the winner of this fight. Do we ever see John Jones fight the winner of this fight?
Well, I think Dana's scared to make it happen. You know, I think he doesn't want to lose his horse in John Jones, and I love John Jones, but that's too much of a risk for Dana to take. Francis is one of the baddest, if not the baddest man on the planet. And so I think Dana's scared. I don't think he would want to do that, but the MMA fans want that. Doesn't everyone want that? But Dana never does anything for the fans.
So the question really is, if Henan Faheda is able to better Ngannou on October 19th, does he become the guy to beat in the heavyweight division?
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, that would be, first of all, a massive upset. But, you know, obviously that could happen in combat sports. That's what makes this fight exciting is, you know, Ferreira being an insane competitor, but he would become the man. He would become the greatest heavyweight in MMA. But currently, as it stands, Francis Ngannou's the man to beat.
Not just an incredible main event, incredible co-main as well. Legendary women's combat sports athlete, Chris Cyborg, making her PFL debut. And not a one-time champ, not even a one-division champ, a two-division, two-time champion in the PFL, Larissa Pacheco. With an opportunity, I think, a win like this finally gets her the respect that she deserves. How do you see the co-main?
Yeah, so many microphones. Man, it's another amazing fight. This card is absolutely stacked. And like I said, very excited for it. Pacheco's, you know, got amazing wins under her belt. She's been on a roll, but Cyborg, you know, has that veteran capability and experience, and it's gonna be a brutal, brutal war. And I love Cyborg, but I gotta go with Pacheco.
Last thing before we let you get out of here. You are a PFL partner. You're the Bravo Challenge disrupting the combat sports world. When do we get to see you making your MMA debut in this market?
We've made offers. You know, Nate Diaz ducked it. It's just about having the right name, and I'm ready. I want an MMA fight. I think it'd be super, super fun. I don't think a boxer in their prime has gone over to MMA. You see a lot of the MMA fighters go into a boxing match like Francis, like McGregor, but I want to be one of the first to go over into MMA and take a massive risk and see my skills, bring out the old wrestling. But I'm down. I just want a big name and a big fight.
Jake Paul, proud partner here in the Fighters League. He will be there with us October 19th in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia.
God bless.
You all need to be there as well. October 19th, Mayadeen, BFL Super Fight pay-per-view.